Everyone in Pittsburgh knows that we made steel for decades, and that legacy is still a living part of who we are now. But there aren't a lot of examples left of how all that history was forged. With the Cary blast furnaces, you can literally stand in the shadow of what was once cutting-edge technology. Rivers of Steel offers tours of this important national historic landmark, and they explain how we made iron, introduce you to the people, the workers who made it possible, and share more about the culture that sprang up to support them. Plus, they've got a special spotlight right now on how the Great Migration shaped its workforce. Learn more and book a tour at riversofsteel.com/tours. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, it sounds like Giant Eagle is getting some new competition, but our hometown grocery chain is making some changes of its own. We're getting so many new restaurant openings. A French cafe is taking over one of Otta's old spots, and one Southside institution is closing for good. Plus, don't go anywhere. After the interview, executive producer Mallory Falk is staying on for a conversation sponsored by the Rivers of Steel about how they're bringing 100 years of history at our old Cary blast furnace to new generations of Pittsburghers. It's Thursday, June 13th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast Sophia Lowe, asking one of my favorite questions. What is the best thing you've eaten in Pittsburgh this week?
I'm excited about this one. So Page's Dairy Mart has a limited time carrot cake Arctic swirl. It's a collab with Casey Regner from WTAE. So there's a slice of carrot cake from Bethel Bakery swirled into vanilla ice cream, and then there's another piece of cake on top.
Oh my
Yum. God. My tip is that you can switch the flavors in the Arctic swirl, though. So I did mine with maple soft serve instead of vanilla. Felt extremely fall. And my friend got his carrot cake Arctic swirl with cheesecake soft serve.
Sophia, that is so decadent. When did you have this?
Last night. I stood in line for like an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Classic Pages.
Classic Pittsburgh. I think I'm actually going to go dessert this time too. I went to the Mattress Factory garden party.
Ooh, yes.
Thank you, Mattress Factory, for the tickets. But they always have like little restaurant pop-ups and stuff all over. Mm-hmm. And I think my favorite this time was from Butter Joint, which I forget exists. They're delicious. But they served what they called, quote unquote, their signature vinegar pie, which was just a little morsel, fits in the palm of your hand. But I could not stop laughing because I took one bite of it and I was like, oh, this is what I know to be chess pie, which is a delicacy from my childhood that my mother has made for literally every family occasion ever. But it is just butter, sugar, and eggs with like
all good things.
A tablespoon of vinegar. And I was like, this is not, I mean, it's delicious, but it's also not signature. Like, this is the desperation food born of like the Great Depression in rural areas. So,
well, I'm glad you got a taste of home.
Honestly, I love it. So if you don't have my mama, you can go to Butter Joint and get a delicious chess/vinegar pie.
Okay, so I guess on to food news.
Yes.
Also something I am incredibly excited for. This is a good food roundup for me. We have a few updates on grocery stores. The first piece of news is that Wegmans is coming to the Pittsburgh area, probably, technically
allegedly.
Cranberry, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's driving distance, and I literally screamed when I saw the news in the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter.
Yes. I mean, we should not get too excited yet because technically Wegmans has not finalized the plans yet. A spokesperson told the Pittsburgh Business Times that they do not talk about future store locations unless the company has negotiated a lease or a purchase. But I guess it seems pretty likely. I guess it's probably going to be a minute, though, before anything's actually open.
That's very fair. I miss Wegmans so much. They were my favorite grocery store in New Jersey. Besides bagels and pizza, Wegmans was always a stop. And I always stocked up on their fun sparkling water flavors. And I always go to the grocery store sushi section and get a sandwich.
I mean, grocery store sushi, if you love it, is like a special thing to get right, you know? I don't think you're the only one planning their Wegmans grocery list already. The store has a really devoted fan base, I'm learning. There's this Facebook group, too, called Please Bring Wegmans to Pittsburgh.
I love that. Yeah, I think for me, Wegmans is definitely that kind of place where you can get all your groceries in one spot. The produce is good and not super expensive. Like, it's not like Whole Foods level prices. And they have a lot of good, like, in-house brands.
I think my 30s has been just realizing that I'm slowly becoming like an increasingly like larger shopper, like I have like 3 or 4 grocery stores. I don't hit them all the time.
And that's kind of annoying.
But I hit them all like within the course of like a month or two, and it's kind of nuts. Which, speaking of, I guess, there are more grocery stores allegedly coming to Pittsburgh. We may see another Trader Joe's in the city. KDK has a piece up about how Trader Joe's is looking at another location in the Strip District.
Oh, okay. Is this like also kind of confirmed, but not really confirmed?
Yeah, maybe a little like the Wegman situation. I guess nobody from Trader Joe's has like confirmed that they're coming. The Strip would be so different. Although we do have some Trader Joe's in the Pittsburgh area, Wegmans would really be the first here.
Right, because there's a Trader Joe's pretty close to me in Bakery Square, and I know they've got a location around McKinless and Mount Lebo, but the closest Wegmans is up in Erie. I checked, I did the Google Maps, so that's a stop for when I make it to Presque Isle this summer, and I can stock up on beach snacks there.
Dang, you really got this all planned out.
You know I always do. But I kind of wonder how Pittsburghers are going to feel about a Trader Joe's, especially in the Strip. I know not everyone was jazzed about like Shake Shack opening. I know that was in the terminal and that was promised to be like a local business situation, but still, like there's so many locally owned spots to get groceries in the Strip, and I feel like Trader Joe's does not match that vibe at all.
I know. I think I would be excited about a Trader Joe's in almost any other neighborhood. But the Strip just feels, I don't know, it feels like it's encroaching in a way that makes me uncomfortable. I guess last bit of grocery store news is about Giant Eagle, our hometown brand, well established here in the city of Pittsburgh.
It is pricey, and personally, I am not a huge fan. I am not a convert to Giant Eagle.
I wouldn't call myself a convert. I have obviously shopped there a lot over my tenure here in the city. But there are products from them that I really, really like. Like, I love their bakery. Their bagels are, like, pretty decent. Their catering, like their hot food section, so good. Okay. Really consistent. The sushi, depending on who's making it, can be quite nice. But I hear you about the price. I have nothing good to say about that. Although, if that's your main complaint, maybe this news will soften your feelings. The chain started another deal program. They've been really in the thick of it with those. It's called Deals for Days, and there's a bunch of discounts on seasonal items. So like right now, summer stuff is cheaper. I assume that means we'll get the same for like Halloween and the holidays. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I also saw this a couple weeks ago, so I did peek at Giant Eagle's website, and seasonal item seems to be like a very loose term. I mean, like there's stuff like burgers, hot dogs, cheese, so like those would be good for like a barbecue or a picnic, but there's also just fruit trays, random produce, Diet Coke, ravioli, all sorts of things that are discounted, so that's kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah, some of the stuff is discounted for like 50 cents. Other products are like, $1 or $2 off. If you plan ahead, I'm sure you can save a decent amount of money, but like everything, you have to know what the regular price is to be like confident that the deal is truly a deal. Sophia actually reminds me, I saw a Reddit post relevant to this that I think you would love. Please click the link that I sent you.
New sale at Giant Eagle. There's a bunch of sauces. The captions, I know there's a lot of Giant Eagle hate, so I thought I'd feel the Oh.
Look at the prices.
So $4 and their sale price is $5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully that was just a mistake, but like Reddit has so much venom for Giant Eagle, which also recently moved up to Cranberry. Anyway, I guess last pro tip, Giant Eagle does have a regular clearance section too. Sophia you and I were talking about this off mic. It's usually just like a couple racks in the front or the back of the store, sort of like a dented can section. Mm-hmm. So if you ever pop into one, look for that. Sometimes I find good stuff on it, like stuff I would otherwise normally be buying anyway.
Okay, that's a good tip. I'll keep that in mind next time I step into a Giant Eagle.
Did you know there's a speakeasy on Liberty Avenue? Well, we're letting the cat out of the bag, or I guess I should say the rabbit out of the hat, because Liberty Magic is Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy theater, dedicated to the art of elevating magic. And if you've never been, there is a really fun show right now that would be a perfect entry point to what they do best. Magician and comedian Rob Zabrecky has brought his variety show, The Zabrecky Hour, to Pittsburgh, and it is just so wonderfully weird. There's deadpan comedy, song and dance, and his absurd take on mental phenomena, which may involve getting a few of his audience members involved. It is strange in a way you will never forget. The Zabrecky Hour is happening now at Liberty Magic through July 14th, and they even offer a Skeleton Key VIP experience for the best seats and an up-close encounter. You've got to check it out. That's the Zabrecky Hour at Liberty Magic through July 14th. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear. Well, let's get into some openings, some closings. It sounds like we've got a ton of new spots if you want to get out and try a new place during the summer.
Oh, absolutely. One that I'm really excited for is Amboy. It's going to have its home on the north side on East Ohio Street. So it's contemporary Filipino food. But before that brick and mortar location opens up, they're doing pop-ups at Soju in Garfield, and you can book those on Amboy's website.
Yeah, I've peeked at the Instagram page. The food looks so good. Everything's plated really nicely. It's definitely on my list. And also because we talked to the chef before, Rafael Vencio. He's been on the podcast. He was talking all about his urban farm down in St. Clair. He was trying really hard to make tropical plants happen in Pittsburgh, which is like a whole time. I'm just so stoked for him that he got his own space.
I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder if maybe any of those urban farm plants will make it on the menu. I don't know. Tropical fruit sounds hard to mass produce for a restaurant in Pittsburgh.
Maybe to source here, but I think it was something that he was really inspired by, and especially bringing some of those tastes of Pittsburgh into like the taste of the tropics and what he knew from the Philippines. It all just sounds so delicious.
Okay. Yes. What else should I look forward to?
Yeah, another one on the list is Golden Guy. So it's a new sushi place in Bakery Square. Looks like they're only doing takeout right now, but it'll be sit down soon. If you're into restaurants like Meat and Potatoes and Taco, maybe add Golden Guy to your list since it's under the same restaurant group.
Okay, I checked out their Instagram page before we started recording, and the thing I'm most pumped about isn't the sushi. I feel like we've got a couple decent sushi options in Pittsburgh. I mean, always happy to have more.
Literally a couple.
Okay, yes, a couple. Maybe another one now. I haven't been yet. But they have this sparkling juice brand at Golden Guy called Kimono. I had it for the first time last year in New York, and I think it's at Whole Foods sometimes. It's these cute little bottles. It's not super sweet. Like, they're sparkling apple juice, super good, and they're like umai plum flavor, also incredible.
Okay, I'll have to look out for those. Of course, you would be laser focused on the little drinks. But since we're talking about beverages now, Illusion Brewing has a location in Pittsburgh. Their first spot was in Vandergrift, a little bit of a trek from here. But they opened another brewery in Allison Park. So, like, that's north of the north side, a little past Ross.
Okay. I'm imagining it in my head now. That's much closer. Have you been to the Vandergrift spot or, like, tried any of the Illusion Brewing's beers before?
I'm really bad at keeping track of what beers I have tasted at some point in the past. So possibly, but I don't remember it. I don't think I've been to Vandergrift.
Okay, well, now that it's like north of Ross Township, Allison Park, that's closer to you. So maybe you can make it there sometime.
Yes, north side ride or die for sure.
Yes, you can let me know if you think any of the beers would be to my taste, because as I've said many times before, beer, iffy spot for me.
But there is an interesting beer to coffee conversion happening in the city, and especially around the fall and winter. I feel like that could be your jam.
It could be. And speaking of coffee, there is a new coffee spot opening up. I recently saw on Reddit that a 2D cafe is coming to Ada's old location in Garfield. I did some Googling, and it looks like that 2D cafe is going to be called Paper Street Coffee Co. It's also going to have French food and coffee.
I don't think I know what a 2D cafe is. Is that a thing?
So a 2D cafe is like a space that just looks kind of 2D. I think it's almost always like black and white inside to get that effect. I feel like it's hard to describe. It's kind of something you see, but
I'm imagining some like weird, the like house listings that are like all black and white or gray, like they don't look fully real because there's no color.
Yeah, well, this looks less real because it also looks like kind of like hand drawn, not like regular furniture, I guess.
Well, that would be appropriate for a company called Paper.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good name. So Paper Street Coffee Co. is raising funds on Honeycomb Credit right now. I didn't see any photos on that page to get an idea of what, that specific space might look like in the future.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. It looks like the owners are standing in front of the old Auto space. So, they've still got time to make it their own.
Right. I'm kind of excited to see how they're going to transform that space just because I'm very curious what a 2D cafe is going to look like. I've never seen one in real life. But anyway, the chef, Mark Mamone, has been working in the Pittsburgh food scene for a bit. He owns Bridge City Brinery. So they have a brick and mortar space and food trucks. So I think I'd give this a try when it opens up, mostly for the coffee, because with Auto gone, I am looking for more coffee.
You're always looking for coffee. Speaking of Honeycomb Credit, it sounds like there's some good things brewing for Brothmonger too. She's been on the show here a couple of times talking about her pop-ups, her comfort soups. She once said that if Pittsburgh were a soup, it would definitely include beans, which is a detail I've never forgotten. She was looking for $50,000, and in like a day and a half, it was not just fulfilled but doubled. So I was just like watching that in real time was kind of wild.
That really is. I feel like there's just so much love for Brothmonger, so I'm glad that she's getting her space. And then a couple more spots I think you'll like, Megan. So these are two spots that are open now. There is a hot pot place that opened up on McKnight Road called Hong Hot Pot, and then Mango opened up in Squirrel Hill.
I love hot pot. I'm so excited about this. Although I'll be real, I might save it for winter when it's actually cold out. Although this past week, who knows? It's been unseasonably chilly. Could have gone for soup a couple of different times. Mango is completely new to me, though. What did they have other than the fruit? ?
Oh, I think it's a really great summer spot because of all the fruit that they have. So they have these like classic desserts with mangoes, but also other fruits like strawberries and watermelon. So it's like this little dessert bowl with a bunch of like toppings in it. So sago, which is kind of similar to like tapioca pearls, or like lychee jelly, rice balls, ice cream, red beans, all sorts of fun toppings. Not necessarily all of those things at once, although maybe you could add something or two if something's really calling to you.
Oh man, I like to order off a menu. If I do it straight off a buffet like that, I'm gonna make a mess.
Okay, it is menu based, and like those are just kind of examples, so I think you'll be fine. So I think that's super refreshing, and there's also things like mousse cakes, crepe cakes, all that kind of fancy fun stuff.
This sounds like another CityCast Pittsburgh field trip opportunity.
Yes, let's do it.
And now some restaurant closings, unfortunately. I think the biggest news that I've seen around is the closure of Spork Pit Barbecue on the south side. Used to be Double Wide Grill. I think at some point they were going to rebrand to Spork Island Trading Company. But if you can't keep up with all the names, this was the restaurant that proposed building a volcano on the premises right there on East Carson Street.
I wanted to see that volcano so badly.
I did too. I was in their camp.
The Historical Review Commission didn't want that, though. They denied that request. Maybe that's why they had to close. Not enough business due to lack of volcano. Probably
Truly, pour
not,
one out for that.
I know CityCast roving producer Elizabeth Kama really loved their brisket mac and cheese. She actually took me there at one point. So rip to a semi-iconic Pittsburgh spot. I don't know if it's actually iconic, but she hyped up the mac and cheese a lot. So it just feels very iconic to me.
They had the best seitan wings I have ever had in my life. I am deeply disappointed that those will not be available to me anymore.
Oh.
According to the Trib, the closure did have to do with remodeling, but perhaps not the volcano.
Okay, fair. I did not actually think the volcano was the problem, though I will say that would have definitely brought me to the restaurant more often. So why did this place shut down for real then?
So Spork Pit Barbecue is planning on doing, big renovations to spruce the place up. Like Double Wide Grill kind of had this like old gas station vibe to it, like in a clean restaurant way, but still. But they had to go through the Historic Review Commission and the city. An owner said that it would have taken months to get everything approved. So I guess by the time approval came around and renovations actually could be complete, it might not have been financially worth it for them. So the owner said that summer is the time for barbecue, not fall or winter. So they're planning on selling the business, leasing out the restaurant space, and then potentially starting up a Polynesian style restaurant somewhere else in the city.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of forward thinking and big plans. Okay.
I mean, like renovating any part of your house takes forever, right? Like, and, a lot of space and a lot of money sometimes, depending on how long it takes. So I'm sure that's just like amplified so much in a restaurant space.
Well, I guess maybe this will turn into another restaurant opening update in the future.
Who knows? Volcano somewhere else, maybe. Before we close out, Sophia, where might we spot a CityCaster this weekend? What you thinking?
I will be outside of Pittsburgh, so I'm taking a little weekend trip, but I'll be back sometime on Sunday. If I get back early enough, I might make an appearance for Disco Sunday Disco at Trace Brewing. This is one of my favorite outdoor parties in Pittsburgh. I love afternoon parties especially because then I can tuck into bed and be functional on Mondays.
Sophia, you've had the busiest June, honestly. I am thinking there's so many prides coming up this weekend. I feel like folks forget that this continues all through the month of June. Mount Lebo, for example, and Lawrenceville is doing their big pride. There's a gayest dog pageant coming up.
I'm really sad I'm missing that.
Just down the street during the Lawrenceville Pride situation. So Lawrenceville Pride is like noon to 5, but then this dog pageant is at 4 p.m., which seems really cool. And I also think we should shout out to the River of the Year, the Pennsylvania River of the Year stuff that you and I talked about earlier this week.
Yes, also sad I'm missing that.
That all kicks off at the Allegheny River Trail Park this weekend too. So that'll be on Saturday. If you're looking for inspiration as we're talking, please do check out our website. It's pittsburgh.citycast.fm/events. There's all kinds of fun stuff there that we work really hard to curate to help yins plan your weekends. And last thing, don't go anywhere because we've got a segment sponsored by Rivers of Steel. Our own Mallory Falk is chatting with Ron Bariff about tours and workshops at the Cary Blast Furnaces.
I'm here with Ron Bariff. He's the Director of Historic Resources and Facilities for Rivers of Steel. And as part of that job, he oversees the Cary Blast Furnaces, which, if you don't already know, is a National Historic Landmark. Ron, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Ron, can you tell us a little bit about the history and the significance of the Cary Furnaces?
Absolutely. So the Cary Furnaces were the iron-producing facilities for the Homestead Works, U.S. Steel Homestead Works, which during their heyday were the most productive, in many ways the most important iron and steel producing facilities, not just in this region, but in this country and the world. The iron that came out of the Cary Furnaces went into the Empire State Building, the Panama Canal locks, the USS Missouri, and so on.
So then when did they close, and then when did Rivers of Steel get involved with the site?
Sure. So Cary Furnaces number 6 and 7, which are the two extant blast furnaces left, there used to be 7 at one time, shut down in 1978. The last 2 furnaces on the site were a few years later, but Rivers of Steel became involved in 1988 when U.S. Steel sold the property to a scrapper, and they started tearing everything down. And that's when it became very obvious and really incumbent upon folks to try to save some of this history. And that's where we came in. Rivers of Steel started working to preserve the furnaces in 1988, but we didn't physically get them until 2010.
And then I know one of the things you do now is offer regular tours of the site. You've been doing that for more than a decade. What can people expect if they come on a tour of Cary?
Well, we do tours May through the end of October, and during peak season, which is summertime, we do them Thursday through Monday. And when people come, and we have people that come from all over the world, and they're going to basically move through the entire site, follow the process. It's a 2-hour tour, and they'll learn about the technology of iron making, but even more importantly, what they'll learn about is the history of iron and steel making in this region, but also the peopling of this region. They get to hear very personal stories from people who worked in the industry, lived in this industry, and lived in the communities around these mills.
And I heard you also have specialty tours, too.
The industrial tours are our most popular tour and the one we run the most often, but we also do specialty tours. We do arts and grounds tours, looking at the art on the site. And then in June, we're going to be doing the Black Experience Tour. And that is a 1-hour tour that's offered throughout the month that looks at the African-American experience, not just at the Carey Furnaces, but in the industry overall. And it's a really important story. There was a time when 90% of the unskilled labor force at the Carey Furnaces was African-American. So it's a huge story.
So if people want to take that tour or learn about, any of the tours and workshops that are offered at Carey Blast Furnaces, how can they learn more?
Well, go to our website, which is riversofsteel.com, and click on experience, and you will see a variety of different experiences that you can have through Rivers of Steel, and you will find a way to get tickets to the Carey Furnaces.
Thank you so much, Ron. This all sounds so great to check out.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure, and we're thrilled to take part.
And again, you can visit riversofsteel.com and click on experiences for more information. We will include that link in our show notes.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're liking the show, please let us know. Please let someone else know. We really rely on word of mouth to let people know about the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
I don't know if you can hear Pistachio screaming in the background. She also wants breakfast. She wants food too.
Go feed the kitty.